MAT 1033, Review for Test 4. Problem 26. This is a formula problem, and we are going to solve for the variable a. So we're going to isolate the a. The first thing we need to do is to get rid of any fraction. So we're going to pick the common denominator. Will be 2 since there's only the one fraction. And you will multiply on both sides by 2. We'll do 2 times the a, and on the right-hand side, just do the 2 at the front. It will cancel the 2 in the denominator. So when we clean up, we have 2a equals, and we can go ahead and distribute the n. So we have na plus nc. And now we will try to isolate the small a. Capital A and small a are different. You treat them totally different, like an x and a y when you're doing formula solving. So they will never go together. Right? So it is the small a that we want to isolate. We go on the side with it and take off anything that's added or subtracted to it. So the first thing that's going to come off is the NC term. It's added. To make it cancel, we'll subtract. I'm going to write it after my original because you're not going to get like terms. So putting it under doesn't work well with formulas. So we're subtracting NC from both sides. On the right-hand side, it will cancel out. There's nothing you can do on the left. Go back on the side of the variable that you want. So you want the small a, the lowercase a. Go on that side, and that means you need to get rid of this small n. So they are multiplied. To reverse a multiplication, you're going to divide. Divide by the piece that you don't want. On the right-hand side, it will cancel. Leaves you just a. That was our goal. There's nothing you can do on the other side. You are not allowed to cancel out the n's because there is no n in the first term, and there is a sign in between. So 2a minus nc divided by n equals a. Problem 27, also a formula problem, and this time we are going to solve for c. We should still clear the fraction out. So multiply through on both sides by y. I'll just write it on this original. It's going to cancel on the right-hand side. On the left, we have yn or ny. It doesn't matter which way you write it. And now we go on the side of the variable that we want. So we want c, go on that side, which means to take off the a. It is a positive a, so we're going to take it away. So yn minus a. And on this side, you're going to take it away. It will cancel. That's your goal. Nothing you can do on the left-hand side. But your c is isolated. That was your goal. Problem 29, we have a word problem. It says a camel can travel 18 miles in 4 hours. At this rate, how far can the camel go in 6 hours? So when you're doing something and it's at the same rate, this is a proportion problem. So we'll make two ratios. Our first ratio will be 18 miles in 4 hours. Put your units on with your numbers. So 18 miles in 4 hours. And before you fill any numbers in, go ahead and put the units on the other side. You have to have the same unit in the same place. The words might be backwards, but do your units first. Right, now we'll fill in the numbers on this one. It says, at this rate, how far, so that's the distance, can the camel go in 6 hours? So it's the miles that we don't know. And we do know the hours. Now you're ready to solve. When you have a proportion, you can do cross products on the diagonals. So we have 18 times 6, which gives us 108. And we have 4 times x, which gives us 4x. to give us a nice equation. And now we're going to divide on both sides by 4. And 4 into 108 will go 27 times. You can use your calculator, go top to bottom, or you can do it longhand. So at this rate, the camel can travel 27 miles in 6 hours. Problem 30. In 2008, 38 out of every 50 employees were men. If there are a total of 4,000 employees, estimate the number of men. So it's implied here that you're going to work at the same rate. So this will be a proportion. So we will use 38 out of 50. So 38 men out of 50 total employees. And you have to think on that a little bit. So I'm just going to put total. And this are the ones that are men. Right, on this side I need the men up here and the total down here. So if there are a total of 4,000 company employees, estimate the number of men. So that will be our variable. So this one was turned around. That's why it's important to put your words on there first. Now we'll do the cross products to make our equation. So 38 times 4,000 gives us 152,000 equals, and this diagonal we have 50x, and then we're going to divide on both sides by 50. And I would just punch that in my calculator, and you get 3,040 men. For the next few problems, we're going to find the slope of the line through each pair of points. When you're given 2 points and asked to find slope, you're going to use a formula. So our formula is change in y's, so y2 minus y1 over change in x's. And you could have it switched. You could have y1 minus y2, but you have to do the x's in the same direction. So I would just memorize it one way. Let's label our points so they'll be easy to plug in. So if our first one is called point 1, this will be x1, y1. The second one will be x2, y2. And then we just substitute. So y2, 19 minus y1, 19 over x2, 10 minus, be careful here, you're subtracting a negative, just use a parentheses. And this one is going to give us a special line because we're going to get a 0 in the numerator. So it doesn't really matter what the denominator is. 0 divided by anything is 0. And it doesn't ask you, but this is a horizontal line. Anytime you get a 0 slope, it's a horizontal line. 32 is also a problem to find slope given 2 points. So we will use the formula. We will label our points. This will be x1, y1, x2, y2, and we'll plug in. So y2 is 16 minus, you have to be careful here, negative 17. Don't lose a sign. Use parentheses. x2, 0 minus a negative 20. Now we'll clean up. Minus a negative here makes plus, which gives us 33. And this makes plus, which gives us 20. This is not going to reduce, so just leave it as a fraction. We have one more problem to find the slope given 2 points. So we will label our points and use the formula. So this will be x1, y1, x2, y2. And we'll plug in. So y2 is 2 minus y1 is 20 over x2 is 10 minus a negative 10. Clean up, so we have a negative 18 on the numerator, minus a negative makes plus. 20 on the denominator. This one we should reduce. It's still going to be negative. They're both even, so you can divide by 2. 2 into 18 will go 9, and 2 into 20 will go 10. For our next three problems, we're going to determine if the following lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And the way you find that out is to compare the slope. If the slope is the same, the lines are parallel. If the slopes are negative reciprocals, so opposite sign and flip it over, they're perpendicular, but they don't have to be either one. So we're going to have to switch to slope-intercept form to be able to read off the slope. So some algebra here, we're going to isolate the y. On our first equation, I'll just rewrite it, 3x plus 2y equals 7. We want to get y by itself, so we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. And then you're going to divide by 2. When you're working on lines, you divide under each piece instead of just all in one shot like you would do a formula. So we have y equals 7/2, and you can pull this coefficient away from the x. All right, so our slope on this one is a negative 3/2. Right. Then we will do the other line, 6x plus 4y equals negative 1. You're going to isolate your y, so subtract your 6x. And divide by 4. So we'll divide under each piece by 4. Clean up. So we have y equals negative 1/4 minus 6/4, which will reduce. Those are both even. 2 into 6 will go 3 times. 2 into 4 will go 2. Now we can read off the slope. It is going to be a negative 3/2. So these two lines are parallel because they have the same slope. For problem 35, our first line is the same, so I'm not going to redo it. It's the same steps. We will find the slope on the second line. So we have 4x minus 6y equals negative 1. We need to isolate the y. So take off the 4x. And then we're going to divide by negative 6. So we have y equals a positive 1/6 here. And minus a negative makes plus. These are both even, so divide by 2. 2 will go into 4 2 times. 2 will go into 6 3 times. And pull that away from your x. So now our slope on this one is 2/3. And these two lines are perpendicular. They are negative, so opposite signs, and they are reciprocals. They're flipped over, so they are perpendicular. Problem 36, same kind of question, parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we need to find the slope. So we'll just have to find it on each line. So 5x plus 2y equals 7. We need to isolate the y. So subtract your 5x. Divide by 2. Clean up. And your slope on this one is a negative 5/2. Then we will do the other line. So 4x minus 7y equals negative 1. We want to isolate the y. So subtract your 4x. Divide by negative 7. Clean up. This will give us a positive 1/7. And here you have two negatives. That will give you a positive 4 over 7x. And now we can pick off our slope. These slopes are not the same. They are also not negative reciprocals, so this one is neither.